How you doing, y'all? Well, I just want to welcome you to this new channel. My name is Vince Vaughn. Um, I created this channel called The Intelligent Comic Book Investor. Now, why that name? Well, a little backstory. So in 1949, Warren Buffett had a mentor whose name was Ben Graham. And Ben Graham wrote a book called The Intelligent Investor. And that book, its purpose was to kind of simplify and explain fundamentals of the market, how to make the most of it. And so that's the genesis of the name of this channel, because I want to help you understand the fundamentals of the market and how to make the most of it with your comic book investing. One significant change between me and Ben Graham is I don't believe I'm an expert. So I'm learning along the way, just like you are. I just believe something's missing from the discourse on YouTube and social media as it relates to comic books and investing. And honestly, I'm just hoping to fill that gap. So, a little about me. I have many things that I love and enjoy. And of all those things, many who know me would find it a little surprising that I'm starting a channel specifically around comic book investing. And you know what they might not know is that I have loved and bought comic books for years. And thanks to my brothers, I got into them huge as a kid. I have mostly them to thank because when they moved out of the house, they left all their Silver Age, Marvel, and DC comics at home where I could read them. So, literally, I would just pull a stack out and there would be Fantastic Four #1. And I'd open it up and I'd be on my bed at home, thumbing through it, paging through it. And I read all these stories, these classic freaking stories. And from I when I had this treasure trove of Silver Age books to read, as a result, I just didn't buy a lot of comic books when I was a kid. I didn't really have to. Um, I had so many at my disposal. Now, fast forward to 1988 when The Killing Joke came out. Now, I got to tell you, um, I was floored by that book. The story about Alan Moore was amazing, but also the art by Brian Bolland. I mean, I swear to God, I never saw a work of art that just moved me like that before. And I really love this new kind of Batman. This Batman defined by Alan Moore, but also Frank Miller, The Dark Knight Returns. I mean, my Batman was Adam West, the Biff Boom Pow Batman, as it were. And it was just for kids. Um, and when I came to understand that comic books were not just for kids anymore, um, I collected a shitload. Uh, I bought boxes and boxes. I had probably 20 long boxes. Um, when it came to like 2018, 2019, I decided, listen, these things are just sitting in a storage area somewhere. I really need to do something with them. So I liquidated almost all my long boxes, except for a few. And actually, except for a few comics. I kept one like short box of comics that had stuff that I loved in it. And if you're interested, I'll be glad to share with you what some of those comics were. But I didn't buy a lot because I didn't want freaking 20 long boxes in this new 1-bedroom apartment that I was going to. I was living in like a 3 or 4 bedroom home, and I was downsizing to this 1-bedroom apartment, and I just didn't want all that crap around. And now fast forward to this year. I had a sizable amount of money just sitting in savings. And this was a situation where I also did like I read some article. I can't remember what it was, but it was like comic book market is down. And I started doing some research about it, and what I determined was like, if I'm going to buy comic books, if I'm going to invest in comic books, not just buy them, I'm not a collector anymore. I'm an investor. And if I'm going to invest in comic books, now seems like the right time to do it. And I was looking for a way to diversify my portfolio from like my traditional 401k. I have like a Vanguard account. I've got a Robinhood account where I buy stocks and things like that in crypto. And so what I did was that I was like, you know what? I'm going to diversify my portfolio. I'm going to go invest in some comic books, key comic books. And so that's what I did. I followed some of the names you guys probably follow, like Automatic Comics, Bryce Comics, Swaggle House, Austin Reese of Reese's Rare Comics. But I felt like I actually needed one-on-one advice, and so I reached out to Reggie Simmons from Reggie Collects, and he was gracious enough to sell me 1 hour of his time to help get me started. So I've got all of this knowledge about comic books and investing from like people I consider to be experts in the comic book biz. And I'm combining that from what I'm seeing from like Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger, the Money Guy Show, Kevin Lum, as well as Dave Ramsey on the finance side. So it's a combination of traditional investment knowledge with comic books. And honestly, I think this realistic view of comic books and as they sit with investments, I think there's a gap there. And that's the gap I'm aiming to fill with both the good and the bad, but ultimately tell you the story of my journey of investing. But most of all, what I want to do with this channel, I want to build a community. I want to build a community of people who love comic books, love investing, love making money, love making returns after they buy something. I want a community of people like that that I can interact with and learn from as well. And I hope we all enjoy the ride. So that's it. Welcome to the channel. Cheers.